Welcome back to the HMA Interview Podcast. We're excited to have the 2020 Freshman of the Year, Sammy Sasso, join us today for the 46th interview. Before we roll the episode, let me fill you in on the latest at HMA Wrestling. First and foremost, we are very, very close to finishing up our next merchandise order, and we'll put the gear up on our site once we get it in. Also, our brand new Rockfin page is looking super clean, and we'd love it if you go check it out over at rockfin.com/HMA Wrestling. Alright, enough for me. Let's turn it over to Sammy Sasso. Sammy, how's it going today?
It's going well. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit today.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out and having me on.
Absolutely. We've been doing this, or at least trying to get this done for a while now. I got to see you in Tulsa, which reminded me I needed to do the interview with you. So, yeah, I'm glad I got to see you there. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a good camp. Some heat. A lot of good kids.
There were a lot of good kids there. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that. So, obviously, you were able to get down there. Were you able to wrestle with any, like, the high school kids and get some good training in with them?
Yeah, I got to wrestle. With a bunch of kids. Gibson, Spratley, Mac Church, Webster. I was bouncing around with a bunch of guys, so
Yeah.
I got a bunch of feels with the young talent of America, so it was good.
Other than that, looking at your training, are you back in Pennsylvania right now, or are you in Columbus?
So I just got back to Columbus. Just got back on Monday, so I'm excited to be out here. Was kind of on the clinic run, and just running practices back home. But now I'm back in Columbus, can kind of focus more on myself and my personal training. I ain't got to worry about anybody else when I go into practice. So that's really good. I was in the room today, went live with Ethan Smith and Carson Karsla. So don't get much better than that,
Oh,
so yeah, they're big, so it takes a lot of watts, but that's how you build it up.
Exactly. So take me back a couple months. What does a day in the life of Sammy Sasso look like this summer while you were in PA? What does it look like? What's your training schedule? What does it look like?
It was really good. I got, in the Lehigh Valley, you got good partners. There's a lot of good wrestling there, so getting guys and getting in the room was fairly easy, and I had a key to a room, so I'm waking up, I'll do something in the morning, and then grab a group of guys and go run a practice at dark nights. And some of the quarantine rooms I was in were pretty sick. I wrestled with the Hidleys, McFadden. I went to New Jersey. Just some of the rooms I was in, I wouldn't have got that opportunity to do if COVID didn't happen. So I got to wrestle with a lot of people, and I'm thankful for those guys because they helped me get better during a tough time.
For sure. So this would be a little bit of a tough question, but if you take out like all the effects of the coronavirus, like people don't die, but if you got to experience the same thing, you got to go back to PA and wrestle with these guys, like the summer that you had, would you change it if you could go back and change it, or would you
No,
keep it the same?
No, not at all. I try to look for the good in everything, and my brother is he's going to be a sophomore this year, and I got to spend just a lot of time with my brother, and I got really close with him, and it just wouldn't have happened if Corona didn't occur. So I got to train with my brother, and my brother was in those rooms with these guys, with D1 guys, and I'm running tough practices, and he's understanding what life is going to be like. If you really want to be successful in the sport, this is the life you got to live. And I think he fell in love with it, and it was good. And I wouldn't have got that time with him if I didn't get Corona. So
yeah,
I look at it was all good. And I think I got made jumps on people where maybe they didn't have access to the rooms like me or training partners like I did. So I'm feeling really good about my training during this time.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. So talking about getting closer with your brother, when you first started wrestling, what are you, 3 years older than him? 3 or 4?
I'm 5. I'm 5 years older.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you
Yeah.
first started wrestling, was he at all involved? What age did you start, and was he at all involved in like watching you? Like, what was it like when you first
Oh
started
yeah.
with him?
There's home tapes. My brother's at the tournament. He's kind of in La La Land, just running around,
Mm-hmm.
having fun. A little 3-year-old at a tournament. So I started when I was about 7. So he was about 2 then, and sometimes
Yeah.
he would get brought along, but he didn't get into it until he was about 7 or 8 then.
Okay.
And
And did you start with Dark Knights?
no, so I started wrestling for my town team. So we have like a league. It's K through 6. And that's where I started. So I started wrestling for Nazareth, just a good program through high school, elementary, middle school. So I started wrestling there. Wasn't so successful at first, but I trained hard, and I just believed in myself. And then I found Dark Knights and Van Dobish when I was in like 6th grade, and I started training
Okay.
there. And then that became my main club where I was trained out of.
Right. So when you first started, did you like immediately, you say you started when you were 7. So did you immediately fall in love with the sport? Like, did you get on the mat to be like, I love this sport so much? Or did it take a little bit for
Yeah.
you to adapt to it?
I got in that big room. And I was hesitant. I was in the K through 6 room. I was hesitant. I was kind of nervous. When you're 8 years old, you're in 2nd grade, and you look at a 6th grader. It's like, kid's a giant. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's nerve-wracking. I didn't really have any ties. My dad didn't wrestle. We didn't really know anyone in the program. Didn't have much friends that wrestled, so it was really nerve-wracking. And but my dad made me go. And then that first practice, something about it, I loved it, and I just wanted to be good, and I wasn't, and it didn't come easy to me. I was always very competitive, but I was an athletic kid, and sports kind of came easy to me. So when it didn't come easy, I wanted it more, I think. And I think that's one thing that really helped me, was just not being successful right away,
Mm-hmm.
and just I had to put in the work first.
So you said when you first started, it took a little bit. So 6th grade when you moved to Dark Knights, right?
Yeah. So I was JV. I was JV on my elementary team. I started in 2nd, and I was JV until my 5th grade year. Then I was on the varsity team, and I had a good season. I took 2nd at the varsity tournament, which was kind of like a heartbreaker. But then my 6th grade year, I really kind of grew into I knew wrestling was my sport, and this was the path I was going to go in high school and college.
How did you find Dark Knights?
Well, I went to Virginia Beach for the NHSCA duels in 5th grade, and I wrestled on a team. And Van Dobish was there. He was the coach of the team because his son was on the team. And then he was nuts, man. He was crazy. Van was nuts, but I loved it. I loved the passion that he had for wrestling, and he saw something in me that other people didn't see, where he knew that I was special, and he really believed in me. So we hit it off, and I started going there, and I was like the first outsider at Dark Knights. It was all kids from East Stroudsburg, and then I was the first kid from another town, and then it started to kick up, and we got a lot of good guys in that room.
Yeah. So when you first got there, did you feel like it was immediately like your home, like you knew you were going to be able to wrestle with them for a while, or was it a little awkward when you first got there?
Yeah, no, I knew right away. I went to my first couple practices, and they were intense, man. They were the toughest practices, I ever really went through, and it was just brutal. But I loved it, you know what I mean? And I had to keep coming back. And, my mom asked me that because like I said, I didn't really have much ties anywhere in the wrestling community. So I kind of bounced around clubs and stuff, didn't really have a set home. But then Dark Knights came and, my mom asked me, where do you feel the love? And I was like, I feel the love at Dark Knights. I knew that he had my back and he believed in me, and he gave me a platform, practices to where I could work that hard. And, he really helped me in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. So, you grew up in Eastern Pennsylvania, East Stroudsburg, like the Lehigh Valley kind of area.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously one of the best places in the country, if not the world, for wrestling. What do you think, what kind of effect did that, like just being in the best environment from age 7, what do you think that, what kind of roles do you think that played in your wrestling career? Just being able to see the highest level from such a young age.
It was key in my love for the sport. You're at the varsity tournament for K through 6, and they're doing Parade of Champions, and what they're doing for an elementary tournament, the finals is just sick. It's like you're at your state finals or your district finals, and the crowd's into it. It's really something special. And back in the day, when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, the View was so tough. The Valley Elementary Wrestling League. I mean, if you won the View, you were legit. I mean, there was just tough brackets and really tough kids. You look at Division 1, they're scattered all over. So
Right.
pretty crazy.
Who are some of your partners at Dark Knights? Are they still wrestling right now? Would we know some of those guys that you wrestled?
Yeah. Back when it first started, Ramo came in, and I wrestled with Ramo a lot at Dark Knights. My one buddy Patrick Gould, he's from Kent State, and then Sean Pearson, he's at Princeton. Travis Stefanik, he's at Princeton. There's a lot of good partners in that room, and especially when I was younger, you could wrestle the older kids, and it was going to be tough. So
right. That's really, really cool. Those are some really solid guys.
Yeah.
So something you talked about at the Oklahoma camp that really interested me was where you developed your really, like, your defensive style and that single leg defense in the cradle that you've been made famous for pretty much.
Yeah.
Where did you develop that style, and just walk me through how that came about?
Yeah, just I wanted wrestling to happen. And sometimes when you're in the younger ages, kids are trying to win practice. They want to win the live go. They just want to get a takedown, and they're happy with that. Well, for me, I wasn't happy with that. I wanted to wrestle you as hard as I could and create action and get in a wrestling position. And some guys just wouldn't do that, and I'd put my leg out there. They'd grab it, and then I'd start rolling around, start scrambling, and I was finding out that I can score like this. I can, just because someone's on my leg doesn't mean I can't score. So I think that was really key in my developmental stages, through middle school when I was kind of developing my style.
I feel like that's such a rare mentality to have, especially in youth wrestling. To be able to set aside your ego in youth is really impressive. And you and Seth Gross are two guys who stick out to me. I had Seth on the show a while back, and now he's part of HMA. But just talking to him about his youth wrestling, he did pretty much the same thing. He would want wrestling to happen, and he felt like guys would kind of evade him, so he'd let them into his legs, and he didn't like sprawling, and so he'd just play around with funk. And it's something that I feel like I rarely see on the youth level. It's really cool to watch that.
Yeah. It's Yeah, I was at the Tulsa. Some of those little kids, they can roll around now.
Oh
They're
yeah,
scrambling at a young age. It's fun to watch.
for sure. Um, so as you started to get older, your success grew, and you started to get more known across the country, across the state. Um, and you know, the recruiting is what interests me the most. Ohio State and Iowa have really started to start recruiting more and more in Pennsylvania. Iowa a little bit more Western Pennsylvania than what Ohio State's doing. But
Yeah.
how did you get in contact with the Ohio State guys, and what was the recruiting process like for you?
Um, the recruiting process was good for me. Like I said, I said it in Oklahoma. I think it's something you should enjoy. Not something that you should be stressing about all the time, because not everybody gets to do it, and it is an enjoyable process, and you get to meet a lot of people. But I think Anthony Ralph was the first guy to reach out to me. And Ralph was just a good guy. I liked Ralph right away, and then started talking to Tom, uh, and just knew they were my guys. Not right away, because I don't think some people say they feel it right away. Well, I understand that, but I wanted to weigh out everything first, and then when I'm done weighing out everything, we'll see if I still feel the same way, or where I'm leaning to. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't want to just make it on a fly, and I needed to weigh everything out, and then the feeling you have at the end of the process is the pick you should go with, not at the beginning. So that was for me, because if I went with the choice at the beginning, it'd probably be different. So I waited till the end. I knew Ohio State was the place for me, and I'm so happy to be here.
What were some of the other schools in the running that you had to decide between?
Virginia Tech, Nebraska. I liked Iowa for a while, but I think it came down mainly to Virginia Tech and Ohio State.
Yeah. Um, so when you first got to Ohio State, obviously, like I said, growing up in the Lehigh Valley, Eastern Pennsylvania, the wrestling level is already super high. You'd been exposed to the highest level of wrestling in the world. Um, but when you got to Ohio State, were there any differences that you noticed that was like, well, this isn't high school anymore, or something like that, where you're just like, it's time to step it up a little bit?
Oh yeah, I remember I came in here my freshman summer, and there wasn't too many people on campus because they had just left, and then they were coming back in a little bit. But I was about the only guy right around 65 kilos. McKenna and Stieber were getting ready for Final X, and they weren't wrestling each other. So I kind of got thrown into the fire right away, just coming off the end of my senior year, and then right to school, and I'm right in the dogfight. It's back-to-back goes with Stieber and McKenna. I'm getting whooped. And some of those things you can't notice on TV, or you can't
Mm-hmm.
notice on film, the feel that they're giving you, and you just feel, once they're in on a leg, you feel it. So there was a lot of things that needed to be changed, but you can't do it all at once. Your hand fighting probably needs work, your leg defense probably needs work, your shot needs work, and then your finishing needs work. So you got 5-6 things that you need to get better at. Well, now you got to pinpoint, where do I got to take care of this, then I can take care of this, then I can take care of this. And it's a process. But I think I did a good job at that, and just really closing the gap on those guys. By the time end of my freshman year, I was scrapping. Things had changed.
Yeah. So, would you say the main difference in high school to college was the partners, or was the training much different?
The partners, also how hard guys are wrestling you.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was like I said, I couldn't see it on film. Was just like the positioning. When Logan Stieber gets in on a head inside single, you can't understand the pressure he's got with his head, his shoulders, arms, until he's in on the leg. You know what I mean? And
Right.
maybe bad habits that I could have got away with in high school, ain't flying with him. You know, he was been
Mm-hmm.
wrestling with Jaggers for however long, so
Yeah.
he's good at finishing. But that made me better. If he wasn't that good at finishing, you know, I would have thought I would have came in and thought my leg defense was awesome when there was a lot of rooms for improvement.
Mm-hmm. So when you first started, obviously you had that's crazy. You get thrown into college and you got McKenna and Steve are like right there. That's the first guys you're getting thrown in with.
Full tilt too. They were getting ready for Final X, so they were going hard.
Was
But
there
it was
much
great.
animosity there? Like,
No, not at all. It was really it was just really handled well, and you know, those guys, I mean, still good friends. I think I don't want to speak for them, but you know, it just really went well, and you know, I was kind of in the middle there, and I had no bias towards anyone. I just got in there, and I was just thankful to get in there at the time where these guys are going as hard as they can, and you're getting thrown in. It's time to scrap. Like you gotta pick it up, and I was just happy to be there and in an environment where, you know, almost solidified that the choice in my mind. You know, this was the spot, and the way that this has been handled, you know that they're gonna ride for you, and they're not gonna pick a side. And I thought that was really cool. So that helped.
right.
You know, when you pick a school and then you're there and you see that. It was great.
And once you've wrestled Logan Stieber in the room for an hour of live, it's going to be a lot different. Wrestling Logan Stieber for an hour of live is going to be a lot different than wrestling Brayton Lee for 7 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just something that you get used to, this level of wrestling. And when you get into college, even though college is one of the highest levels of wrestling, especially in the Big Ten, especially at that weight, it's still not going to be what you've experienced in the room. And so that must have been really helpful for you, just your freshman year. And that was pretty evident when you were able to hang with Lugo, like the senior, redshirt senior, as a freshman. That kind of shows the level of guys you've been training with in the room.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's good. You know, I go in and grab anyone, and it's going to be a hard workout.
So something that I've kind of noticed from your freshman year is it was a lot of highs and lows. So you had the CKLV loss to Brayton Lee, but then you bounced right back, have Lugo and Carver knock him off, and then revenge on Brayton Lee in the duel right after that. Then you have the loss at Big Tens. But it started to come up as the year progressed. Like the ups and downs started, but it started to get higher as the season went on, and then obviously NCAAs didn't get to happen. But what was your mindset coming off of Big Tens? Just ready to finish it off with that one weekend in Minneapolis.
Yeah. You know, you take the loss in the Big Ten finals, but you learn a lot from it. You know, I took that shot with because I had to. I could have slanged that shot so much more. I mean, it was there all match, just being hesitant, waiting for the perfect moment, and it don't got to be a perfect moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I've figured that out. You know, the light bulb kind of clicked, and then the tournament gets canceled. But you go into training with that in mind, and really it's stuck in your mind because the last match you wrestled ended on a loss, and it ended like that. So training, been keeping that in mind, and wrestling more free, wrestling more loose, wrestling more confident. You know,
Yeah,
I'm really excited to get on a mat and compete.
for sure. I'm excited to watch you. I know a lot of people are too.
Thanks.
So, who would you say was the toughest guy that you wrestled your freshman year? Just like the toughest guy you wrestled.
I'll go with Lugo, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's me and my own head. You know, when I'm on, and I don't think I was on like I could have been. You know, for the majority of the year. I just know there was another level there that I could have kicked into, but when you have to pick one, I would say Lugo.
What's the biggest change you think that had to be made for NCAAs?
You mean as far as my wrestling?
Yeah, as far as your wrestling, for you to finish on top of the podium.
Yeah, just being more relaxed. Just being more relaxed and understand that it don't got to be perfect, and that I got to just create wrestling. I can't have one or two scrambles in the match. That's not how I wrestle. It's never how I wrestled, I got to we're going to get in. I'm going to get in the legs, and, I want to roll around, get in 5, 6 scrambles. I know I got an ability in those scrambles where, I can come out on top, and I need more of that. I need more of that, not standing up and, hand fighting and fighting hooks for the majority of the time.
Yep. Do you feel like if NCAAs happen, everything stays the same? Were you planning on competing in all the freestyle events this summer?
Yeah.
Do you like freestyle? Is that something you see yourself doing in the future?
Yeah, I love wrestling. So, freestyle, folk style. I feel like I can make a quick adjustment, quick transition, and I love wrestling. So, yeah, I'll get after it.
Yeah, and you've wrestled a lot of freestyle too, in junior trials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Last year in the Open, you wrestled World Team Trials and stuff, made the finals. So I'm excited to watch you in freestyle. That style's gonna be a little bit different to adapt. Can't do as much rolling around, but I'm sure that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But looking forward into your the future of your career, Ohio State next year has an insane lineup right around your way with Anthony Etchemendia coming in. Luke Pletcher's graduating, but man, right around 41, 49, 57 is stacked in Columbus. So are you looking at moving around weights if you have to, or are you just planning on staying at 149?
Yeah, I think the plan right now is to stay at 49. If adjustments need to be made for the team, then, I'm all for it. I feel like I can make it happen. At the weight above, we got good nutritionists out here getting me on a plan. So, wherever the team needs me to go, so I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. So after college, talk a little bit of freestyle. Do you have any plans or ideas of maybe going to the OTC or something like that after college? Or are you Ohio State all the way, going to stay there?
Yeah. I'm pretty comfortable in Columbus. I love it out here. So, as of now, I don't really plan on leaving for a long time right now. So
well, I know
I plan on staying here.
Sure Columbus loves having you there. And excited to watch you wrestle in the future. I really, really hope we get a season next year.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Whether that be like just January or if we get the full November to March, I really, really hope we do get it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we will. All right, Sammy, thanks so much for the time today. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad we finally got you on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, until next time.